I suggest you go grab a blanket, a snack, get cozy on the couch, maybe some coffee, because today we are going to be in it for the long haul. I'm going to be filming one of my favorite videos to watch and film. Today I'm going to be showing you guys every palette in my collection. If you're new here, I freaking love eyeshadow palettes, especially indie brand eyeshadow palettes. They make me so freaking happy, and I did a declutter back in December, I believe, but I've added a ton to my collection since then. We have anywhere between 150 to 200 palettes to get through, but if you guys want to see my favorites, maybe some you should shy away from, then just keep watching.
We don't need to be worried. We don't need lots of money. So tonight put your hands in the air. Act like you just don't care.
If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Heather, and like I said, I love all things makeup, especially colorful makeup and indie brands. And if you guys love those things too, I really hope you will subscribe. If you do, don't forget to click the little bell so you can be notified of all my future uploads. And with that being said, let's get into the palettes. So where I store my palettes is like a little cubicle thing that you put those like storage cubes in. But instead of doing that, I just put my eyeshadow palettes in them. And I have them separated by brand. Now, I have a bin of my newer palettes that are not on the shelf yet. So some things might be mixed up there at the end. But the first brand on my shelf is one of my absolute favorites. I do have a code with this brand. It is Unearthly Cosmetics. And my code is AOML if you guys are interested in picking them up. But I'm excited. I love talking about Unearthly Cosmetics. They're one of my favorites for a freaking reason. They are absolutely fantastic. But let's start with the smaller palettes. So the first one I want to talk about is the Unearthly Lore palette. The artwork on this palette is so freaking beautiful, and so is the color story. It's truly just so captivating. I love the color combos, the oranges with this like turquoise shade. I've created some really fun looks with this one, and I'm so happy to have it. This one is newer to my collection. It is the Unearthly Cosmetics Daily Grind. I love this. I love orange eyeshadow so much, but the greens that she paired with this, it is truly freaking breathtaking. I love the shimmer formula and the matte formula. I do in all these palettes, but the Daily Grind has the newer formula, which happens to be my absolute favorite. But this one, like I said, is newer, and I'm so happy that I added that one to my collection. Now, this one has the older formula. This is the Fairy Frolic. I don't know if she's updated this one yet on the site. I'll have to go look. Either way, I'll have it linked down below. I'm going to try to link all my favorite palettes because I will never be able to fit all of these palettes in my description box. But with that being said, this color story is so freaking beautiful. It really just sucks me in. I've created some really fun looks with this. I love how grungy it is. I just think it's freaking glorious. It has the bigger pans in it because it's the older, and like the smaller one has the smaller pans. And then I have the Resurgence palette that was done in collaboration with Heather Austin. This color story is freaking beautiful. You guys know how much I love blues, pinks, greens. And I love how this palette goes from really light to really dark. You got some really fun pops of color in here. You could get some really gorgeous spring looks. You could get some dark vampy looks. I just think they did a freaking spectacular job on that one. And then the next three, these palettes are the first palettes I bought from Unearthly Cosmetics. They are what made me fall head over heels in love with the brand. So first I have the Weirdos. I love this. The freaking shimmers in here really just blew me away. Oh my God, I fell so in love. I wish I would have got Warms My Blood, but I didn't. I didn't know what I was missing out on at the time. But then we have the So Strange. This is another one of my favorites. I love how vibrant and beautiful it is. These two shades right here are freaking gorgeous. And then I also have the 1964. Same with this one. So freaking beautiful. Love the color story. I'm so glad that I picked these up because I can't imagine not having them. I've literally probably created hundreds of looks with these. They are my absolute freaking favorite. And then we have the long palettes. I have every palette that they released last year, I'm pretty sure. And so far, I have every palette that they have released this year. And I'm real happy about it. So first, we have the Fall Magic. This really is magical. All of these are still available. The color story is freaking perfect. You could get some really cool spring looks out of this one too. I know it says Fall Magic, but you still could. But this is the perfect palette for fall. These shimmers are truly freaking breathtaking. If you have not tried Unearthly Cosmetics, I cannot tell you enough. You absolutely have to. You will thank me later, trust me. And then this one is such a beautiful neutral palette, also gorgeous for fall. But I take inspiration from the seasons. I do looks all year long, but this is the Sorcerer's Smoke. This is for the person who loves neutral makeup. I've created some gorgeous looks out of here. I have videos here on YouTube and over on Instagram, but I love this. I think it's so pretty. It's one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection. This one is a new one to me, and I love it so much. It is the Don't Be Jelly. I just picked it up recently. I've done some looks over here on YouTube with it as well. This is so freaking beautiful. I love the color story so much. I didn't pick it up when it first released, and I regretted it for the longest time, but I finally got it, and I'm so happy I did. The looks I've created with this one are freaking beautiful, and I love the format of these longer palettes as well. It's my favorite that they've done so far. And then I want to talk about the Devour. Devour is one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. This freaking color story is gorgeous. I love like these sangria shades with the greens. This shade right here, Trap, is so beautiful. These two, they look white in the pan, but this one has like a green iridescent shift, and this one is like a gold pink. And they also work beautifully as highlights as well. Highly, highly recommend this one. This one was a part of the large summer mystery box from last year. That's the only one I did miss. I didn't buy the small one, but this one was made for me because it's colorful. This is the Get Groovy palette, and it is so beautiful. I love all the looks that I created with it. I'm really happy to have it in my collection. I don't think that one is available anymore. If it is, I'll link it down below. This one is a newer one. It came out this year. We have the beautiful Dreamer palette. The artwork on all of these palettes are incredible, but look at this color story. It's like a freaking cool tone dream. I love the color combos here. I feel like you could get some really gorgeous winter looks, spring looks, and maybe even some fall looks, especially if you like stuck to this side over here. But I think this one is beautiful as well. And then I also have the Unearthly Cosmetics Charmer palette. This was a part of the Valentine's Day mystery box. Now, the quality of this palette is superb. This is my least favorite color story out of the ones I have, but I still really do like it. I think it is really beautiful. I've created some really fun looks with it too. And then we have my newest Unearthly palette. It is Spring Magic. This one is beautiful. I haven't gotten nearly enough use out of this like a lot of the others. This one's gorgeous for spring, summer. You could get some really pretty fall looks out of this as well. That shimmer formula is just so spectacular. It's so like high impact. Like the shimmers are so shiny and like glossy smooth. They're not chunky at all. It's such a good formula. One of the best, hands down. ODENS is another brand I have a lot from. I have 13 palettes from them. The first 3 are from the Perfect World collection. The first one is The Planet Spirit by Betty Jean. I think she did a beautiful job on this. I really love the iridescent shade that she picked out for this palette. It's really freaking beautiful. It's not my favorite ODENS palette, but I really do enjoy it. And then we have the Flora Story palette. This was done in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. This is such a beautiful spring palette. I really love the shades that she chose. I've created a lot of really fun looks out of this one. And then we have the Sea Talk palette. This was done in collaboration with Lauren Made Beauty. And this one really surprised me. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. You all know I love this blue corner and the bright shades. I didn't think I was really going to vibe with the neutrals. But honestly, doing a neutral look and then using like one of these brighter colors as like an inner corner or a lid pop is really, really cool. So I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed that one. And then I have the 3 collabs that were done with ANGELICA NYQVIST. The Hella is one of my favorite ODENS palettes. I think it might be my favorite ODENS palette. I really love these greens and the pinks. I never thought about pairing like these undertones together, but I think she did such a spectacular job with this one. And honestly, I have never seen another palette quite like it. I think she knocked it out of the park. It's so freaking beautiful. And then we have the Little Ghost palette. ODENS is another one that really knows how to do the artwork on the cover. But this one is really beautiful as well. Had a lot of fun with it. You guys know I love the purples and the blues. This yellow neon is freaking amazing. I love the looks that I created with that one. And the same with the Trick or Treat. I love this color story. It's like so fall, so beautiful. You could make bright looks, natural looks, and smoky looks. You could do a lot with this one. And it was a really fun one. I think those ones are still available. And then I have 4 other collab palettes. So the first one is the Earthwood palette. This was done in collaboration with Fancy Face. I think it's really beautiful. It's not really a me palette, but I really liked the looks that I created with it. If you like the color story, then you would totally vibe with the palette because it does have a really good formula. Same with this one. This is the Spring Dragon by Judy, and this is a pastel dream. It would be great for right now, especially if you like lighter looks. Obviously, you could probably tell that I do not, but this is a great palette for me, like a companion palette, but it's just not standalone. And then we have the one from Annette's Makeup Corner. This is the Mighty Monster. Out of those 3, this one is my absolute favorite. I think it's so freaking beautiful. She did such a great job. I love the color story. This is my favorite out of those 4 collabs. This is another one from Annette, the Giant Wolves. I love this color story so much. And this shade down here, Eternal, is breathtaking. Love the looks that I created with this one. Did you see me almost drop it? Now we have 3 more. One being Soulmane 2. I love this palette. I don't think it got nearly enough love. I've created a lot of really fun looks with it. I think it's really beautiful. I'm super happy to have it in my collection. You'll have to let me know what you guys think of it. And then last for ODENS I have the Christmas palettes. This is the Christmas Eve. I love these color stories so freaking much in both palettes. I cannot choose which one I like more. Now, my videos on these ones, they are like voiceover videos, but I think these are beautiful. I love the looks that I created. And this one is beautiful as well. It is the Christmas palette. I love the shimmer, that matte. I love so much about this one. These are ones I would love to pull back out and play with again. But that is the ODENS palettes. Now let's move on to a couple of randoms that were over on that shelf as well. Okay, so I have 2 palettes from Adept. I actually have one in my new bin as well. But let's talk about the Sumerian Sunset. The shimmers in here are so freaking incredible. You can't even imagine. Now, for me, I wish this palette went deeper in the mattes. Now, Adept Cosmetics is a very shimmer heavy brand, period. But I always look over that with them because their shimmers are so freaking incredible. And this one is amazing. But this one is one of my favorites. Now it's a tie between this one and the Amy Loves Makeup. But this is Heather Austin's collab palette. And I think she really did a good job. This one has 4 mattes, but I love the ones that she chose. They all go so beautifully with the shimmers in this palette. And this is a fun palette to mix with other stuff as well. These shimmers are freaking spectacular. I don't know if this one is still available, but that is it for Adept right now. And then I have my little palette full of my Cliona singles. This one up here is Unearthly Cosmetics, but all of the rest of them are Cliona. I love them so freaking much. They're so expensive though. And then I have 2 palettes from KALIDOS. My favorite is the Club Nebula. My lettering is gone on mine because I've used the hell out of this palette. I've panned in several shades in here. I think she did such a great job on this color story. This is a palette I've gotten a ton of use out of. I wish they could bring it back, but I know they don't because it's a collab palette. And then I also have the Escape Pod. I haven't gotten nearly enough use out of this one, but I think it's beautiful. It's just not one that really sticks out in the forefront of my mind. I have 2 palettes from Natasha Denona. This one is my favorite. It's the My Dream palette. I love the packaging. I love this color story. If I'm going to go for a neutral palette, it's going to be one like this. I think Natasha Denona has a really good eyeshadow formula, but at the same time, I don't think their shimmers compare to any indie brand. So that's why I don't own more of her palettes. I don't really like a lot of mainstream eyeshadow formulas. I'm more into the indie, but that's a personal preference. But then I have the Zendo, and I've used this recently, and I was really surprised how much I liked it. I think I used it in my Sephora trying new makeup video. If you guys want to check that out, but I think that one's a pretty good one as well. Now to the next shelf. The first brand I want to talk about is Lunar Beauty. I have 5 palettes from Lunar Beauty. First one is the 12 Days of Lunar. This was a advent calendar that released not last year, but the year before. I love this. It's such a gorgeous fall palette. I think he did a really good job. I'd love to see him do a color story like this packaging, but for what this palette is, it's really beautiful. Had a great time with it, and it was really fun to open. And then I have the Siren Sunset. The artwork is so beautiful. I love how it's raised in certain areas, but this is one of my favorite color stories he's done. You guys know I love the blues and purples, but I had a lot of fun with this one. Honestly, I could live without all the neutrals, but that's just a personal preference. I can see why the Nude Prism is perfect for so many people, but it's just not a me palette. I keep it in my collection because it is a really good palette, and every once in a while I do like to do one of those quick looks, so it's nice to have around for that, but it's not a Heather palette at all. This is my favorite palette from Lunar Beauty. It is the Moonshroom. Love the artwork again, and I love the freaking color story. I think it's so beautiful. I've had so much fun with this. I love all the variations of the mustard shades. I think this is going to be great for fall, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. And then I have the Full Fantasy. I love this color story as well, and I think that this palette would pair really well with the Moonshroom palette, but I think this one's beautiful, and I'm happy to have it. I actually like a lot of the products that came out of that collection. I thought it was a really good one. Now we're getting into some new favorites. Gourmand Girls is a brand that I've tried very recently. First of all, let's talk about the Silent Night. This was the first palette I tried from Gourmand Girls, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's really, really beautiful. It really reminds me of the Odens Eye Christmas Eve palette. I think it's freaking gorgeous. Love the looks that I created. I love the formula, but this one is freaking incredible. This is a collab with Steph's Beauty Stash. This is the Nueva Vida, and you can't tell, but this orange is actually a neon as well as the green, but I love this color story. I had so much freaking fun creating looks with this palette. I think she did a freaking spectacular job, and this palette really makes me want to pick up some of the other palettes that I missed. And then I have the Glaminatrix Pretty in Pastels. This palette is really beautiful, and I love how it goes from really light to really dark. But a little pet peeve is I already have oil stains around the shimmers, and that's not cool, especially considering this is a new palette. I like the matte formula a lot. I feel like the shimmers are missing that oomph, but it's not bad by any means. It just doesn't stand up to some of my other favorite brands. And then I have the Aurora Lights from Simply Posh. I do plan on picking up the new palette from them and maybe even Citrus Punch, but I love this so freaking much. I think they did a spectacular job. I love the layout. It's very like pleasing to the eye, makes it very easy to use. It's such a fabulous palette, such a great color story as well. Oh my god, this is one of the best palettes I've tried this year. This is the Ensley Rain Groovy Garden. I love this color story with my whole heart. It is like the most perfect neutral palette, but these shimmers are so freaking captivating. If you have not tried Ensley Rain, you really have to. This palette is stunning. I know some of you told me that you just picked this up and you should be getting it soon, and I'm so excited for you guys because I think you're going to love it so much. They have such a freaking great formula, and I'm excited to see my favorite people get to try them out. Now we have another one of my favorite brands, Bella Beauty Bar. This is a newfound love for me. I only have 5 palettes from them. They're 5 really freaking good ones. The first one is the last one I picked up. It is the Secret Garden. This palette is so freaking perfect. I had so much fun creating looks with this. This shade right here just freaking takes me out. It is so freaking beautiful that I literally cannot stand it. I love this one so much. Highly recommend. I also have a code with them and Inslee Rain. They're both AOML, and they'll save you 10%. But then I have the Dead Roses palette. This is one of my favorite palettes that I tried this year. This was my favorite, but now I think it might be this one. It's so beautiful. I love like the shifts in these shades. I think this color story is so freaking gorgeous. The formulas in here are truly perfect. I swear to God, you will love them. If you pick them up, you will love them so much. This is the palette that made me fall in love with them. It is the Basic Witch. I still want Recently De-Influenced, but I love this one so much. I had so much fun playing with this one. Such a great palette. Love the shimmers in here as well and the color story. And then I also have the Ultraviolet. This is a collaboration palette with Deandra Nicole, but this is one of the best freaking monochromatic purple palettes I think I have ever seen. And the formula in here truly could not be better. Such a good one. This one I bought not last year, but the year before. And it's the reason I hesitated on buying Bella Beauty Bar for a long time because I didn't like this one that much. It is the Celestial Garden. I think this is a collab with M. Jones over on Instagram. Now, I like the bottom row. These are like graphic liners. And the shimmers are okay. The mattes are okay. Their formula now is so much better. Like, so much better. But I keep this one. Oh, that just fell out. Y'all saw it happen here. Let's back in. And it's not coming out now. Okay. But I keep it in my collection because I do love Bella Beauty Bar so much. and I want to have it, but it's just not one I'll probably ever use again, if I'm being honest. But as for the others, I could not recommend them more. I think you will love them. I have two palettes from Ace Beauté. The first one being the Ambiance palette. I love this so much. This color story is so freaking beautiful. I almost said it. You probably heard me, but I love this. It's so grungy, so fall, so swampy. I think it's so freaking gorgeous. Even looking at it just makes me so freaking happy. I love it so much. And then this is the first one I got from them. I got this in a BoxyCharm a long time ago, like maybe 2018, 2019, and I used the hell out of this palette. I created so many looks. I learned how to do eyeshadow with this palette, so it's definitely not going anywhere, but I haven't seen them release anything in a long time, I feel like, but maybe I've missed something. Next is Nomad Cosmetics, and I actually have 6 palettes from them, but 3 of them are over in my new bin. But the first one I want to talk about is the Royal Europe. I bought this last year, I believe, and I love this. It was their first time playing with multi-chromes, and honestly, I think they knocked it out of the park. I love the jewel tones. I think they did such a good job with this. My only pet peeve, and it's a small one, is I wish there were some lighter shades in here, but I know that's just a thing that I prefer. Maybe not so much everyone else, but I love this so much. And it really pairs well with some of the other ones that I'm going to talk about. And next is the Nomad New Zealand Stargazing palette. And this is beautiful. It is a cool tone dream. The shimmers in here are so freaking spectacular. We got some multichromes in here, some iridescent topper shades, and these 2 shades work really well as highlighters. I love this. I think this palette was really on trend this year, and I highly recommend it. This is one of my newer ones as well. This is the Nomad Ireland Wild Atlantic Way, and I'm a sucker for this palette. I love the mustards, love the greens, love the blues, the golds. I think they just knocked it out of the park. The artwork on this one is really beautiful too. And like the packaging, this is like felt, but there's like little 4-leaf clovers pressed in here. Don't know if you guys can see it. And lastly, my only palette from Diveroon. I do plan on picking up the new one as soon as I can, but this is the Gloomy Gardens. I love this one so very much as well. Their shimmer formula is absolutely perfect. The mattes were really good as well. I love the looks that I created with this one. This is another one that I highly recommend, and I'm actually really excited to see what else they come out with this year. So I only have one palette from DD Signature, and it's the Blooming Basket palette. This is one I've had so much fun with. The color story on this is really freaking beautiful. I really love the shimmers and mattes. I think this is such a fun color story. I felt really creative when I was playing with it. It really makes me super happy. The only thing I don't like about it is the packaging. It feels really cheap, but you know what they say, don't judge a book by its cover, because the inside of this is absolutely incredible. Next is Juvia's Place. I actually have 6 palettes from Juvia's Place, and I may end up decluttering all of these at the end of the year. I just don't use them anymore. But first is the Zulu palette. This is another one that I learned how to do eyeshadow with. I had so much fun with it, but it is super, super old. And to be honest, I mean, they're still like really pigmented though. But to be honest, I wouldn't be sad to see them like leave my collection. And I do really need to make more room. So like I said, I probably will end up getting rid of those at the end of the year. And then I have 5 of these little 6 pans. I'll show them to you really quick. These 2 are my favorite. The first one is the Just Berries. I love this. And then the second one is the Sweet Pinks. I love using these together. I've created a lot of really fun looks with these. One of my favorite looks I've ever done was with these. I think they're really great quality. I just have so much now, And then I have the Allure 1 and the Allure 2. The Allure 1 is beautiful. I love the mustards with the turquoise. I think they're so freaking beautiful. And then the Allure 2, I've never even used this, but it's a blue monochromatic palette, which is why I bought it and because I have a problem. And then I have the bronzed palette. This one I've gotten a lot of use out of, and I really love it as well. Love these two shades up here. But that's it for the Juvia's Place. And then this one I'll probably not declutter, but I'm probably going to put it away. It is from Sula Look. I don't know anything about that brand, but it is the Dirty Dancing palette, and I love it so much. It reminds me of my childhood, which is why I keep it. The quality is not that good, but I'm still going to keep it because it's Dirty Dancing. So, like I said, I might just put that one away. And then I have 4 palettes from Unearthly Cosmetics. I'll show you my newest one first. This is the Mellow Growth palette. It's really freaking beautiful. And so is the freaking color story inside. This is such a gorgeous palette. Had so much fun creating looks with it. You have some duochromes, mattes, satins. I'm pretty sure this is a holochrome. It's really freaking beautiful. Highly recommend. This one is still available, I'm pretty sure. And then I have the second Teresa's Dead collab. This is the Teresa is Lethal. I haven't gotten that much use out of it, to be honest. I feel like this was a really hard color story for me to use, but I haven't tried in a long time, so maybe I might feel differently about it now. I don't know, but it's still really pretty. And I love Teresa, so that's why I've kept it. And then these two they don't have the freaking name. I think this is Metamorphosis and this is Evergreen, but I could be totally wrong. But this one is my favorite. This color story is so freaking beautiful. I love this so much. I felt so inspired by it. I've done quite a few looks out of it as well. And then we have the red one, which is really beautiful too. Really love the shimmers in here. And this color story is really beautiful. Love that shade right there. So stunning. I just wish they would put their names on their freaking palettes. Like this one, I kept the sleeve. I'm getting smarter because it's on the sleeve. It's just not on the actual palette. And please make that make sense. Oh, here's another one of my favorite brands. It's Cosmic Beauty, formerly known as Cosmic Brushes. I have 5 of their 6 palettes. The first one is the Gothic palette. This is probably my least favorite, but it's still really, really beautiful. Do not get me wrong. You even have a multi-chrome up here. This was really affordable. It's really beautiful. They have one of the best eyeshadow formulas that I've tried. And then we have the Winter Wonderland. This is one of my favorites because it's blue and purple. I love this so much. I've created a lot of fun looks with this one. I think it's so beautiful. I miss them and I want them to come out with a new palette. Another one of my favorites, the Muse. And the color story is so beautiful. It reminds me of fairies and gardens and Halloween. I just think it's so beautiful. Such a vibe. I love this one. This is one of my least favorites too. It is the Delicious Delights. It's one of my least favorites, but it's still freaking incredible. The color story is really beautiful. It just doesn't get me as much as the other ones do, but I really enjoy this one as well. And this is one of my favorites. And the first one I tried, it is the Serenity, and I absolutely love this freaking color story so much. Their shimmer formula is like so impactful, but so smooth and just beautiful. And next I have another really good indie brand. It is BLENDBUNNY Cosmetics. This is my newest. It's the Ellis palette. And honey, she is a big girl. I really love it. But the color story, this is like the best rainbow palette I think I've ever seen. And these shades up here, they're so freaking beautiful. Like you could create some really killer looks with this one. Highly recommend it. This is the one I've had the most fun with out of all of them. I love the looks, the undertones of especially that top row. It makes me gasp. I love it so much. This is my least favorite, and I don't think it's available anymore, but it is the Surge. I bought it because of the neons, but I don't know if it's the base that I'm using or what. The neons just don't work well for me, not even as like an inner corner pop. They look really patchy, and I almost didn't try Blend Bunny again because of that. But like I said, it could be the base I'm using. I don't know. And then after that, I bought the Sugar and Grunge. I had a freaking blast with this one too. They actually had to discontinue it because someone tried to sue them over the name Grunge, which is freaking ridiculous. But I hope she brings it back because I think this is a really beautiful palette. I love it a whole lot. And then I picked up the Primal. I think this one is beautiful. This one's not available either. I love the huge white and black. I think this is like a really good primary rainbow palette. And then MACHINA. This one is on huge discount right now. I think she's going to discontinue it. But I highly recommend it if you guys haven't picked it up yet. This shade down here, Cyborg, is freaking incredible. But the undertones in this one are really freaking pretty too. So this is the brand that I own the most palettes from, and it is GLAMLITE. I own 26 palettes from them, which is crazy. Some of these are freaking incredible, but some of them not so much, and we will get into that. But let's start with a really good one. This is the Barbie Dream Summer Palette. I love this. It's one of my favorite summer palettes. I think it's really, really beautiful. Love the undertones, like these purples and the blues. They're so freaking beautiful. And then we have the Chucky palette. This is another favorite. I love how dark and smoky this palette is. I bought this way later, and I'm glad that I did because I've had a lot of fun with it since then. These are two of my absolute favorites. It is the Betty Boop and the Garfield. The Garfield, come on. These like freaking gorgeous like macaroni and cheese shades with the sangrias. The shimmers are so smooth and so freaking high impact shine. I highly, this is one of the best ones I've ever released. Same with this one. Same great shimmer formula. I had so much freaking fun with this one. This one and the Garfield go really well together also, and so does the Chucky. Actually, all three of those really do. And then we have the Hershey's Cookies and Cream. This one's really pretty. I had fun creating looks with it. It's not my favorite out of them because of the color story, but this has the really good Glamlite formula in it. And then we have the Happy Hour collection. These palettes were the second order I ever made from Glamlite, and I love them. First, we have the Margarita. This is probably my least favorite, but I still really love it. It's so beautiful. It's such a great summer palette. This is one of my top favorites. It's the Dirty Martini. I love this color story. It's one of my favorite green palettes in my collection. I've created a ton of good looks out of that one. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes. It is the Chocolate Martini. I mean, come on. Look at that freaking color story. And this was my favorite monochromatic purple palette until I got the one from Bella Beauty Bar. But this one is really freaking top notch as well. And then I have the Glamlite Street Taco. This is an older one. I don't really get much use of it out of it anymore, but I do love Glamlite. So I haven't gotten rid of it because of that. Then I have the Scooby-Doo Creeps and Crawls. And it's so beautiful. I love this one a lot. And then we have the Retro Raggy. Again, it's blue and green. You guys know. And then I have the two, like part two from Michaela. This one I've barely used at all, but it is really beautiful. I like the shimmer formula in here. And then the bigger one, which I have gotten a lot of use out of. This is my favorite out of the two. I love the blues and purples and the greens, but I think this one is beautiful. This one, the more I use it, the more I do not like it. I don't like it at all, actually, and I do not recommend it. And it is the Rock and Roll palette from the Kiss collection. The formula in here, the shimmers are just not good. They're really dry and skippy. I just don't like this palette. I don't know what happened there, but I was really disappointed. And then I have the two icy palettes. First we have cherry palette, and this is so beautiful and vibrant. I love the formula in this one as well. And then I have the blue raspberry. You guys know I'm a sucker for a blue monochromatic palette. I think you will see more in here. This was one of my favorites. It is the Frosted Flakes. I love this color story so much. And these bottom shades, they're like so deep and rich, and they make me so freaking happy. This is another one I really enjoyed. It is Ghostface Lives. I think this palette is really beautiful. I was actually shocked at how much I liked it because it does have a lot of grays, and I didn't think I liked gray, but apparently I do, and I just don't know myself. But then we have the Camp Crystal Lake. I was disappointed in this one. It's not like the Kiss one, though. I think this one was just a color story preference. And then I have the little Glam Donut. These are so cute. I keep mine in a box because they're easier to store. But she looks like this, and she's squishy. And it's just this cute little palette, which I do not use, but it has a really good formula in it. And if they ever bring them back, I know they bring older stuff back on the TikTok shop, so I recommend that one. And then the Ice Cream Dream, this was the first one I ever bought from them. I love this so much. I still love it. It's one of my favorite pastel palettes in my collection, and I love the shimmers in here as well. And if you guys want like more detailed reviews on all these Glamlite palettes, I did Unearthly, Odens Eye, and I don't know what else. I do have videos on each brand going through each palette and like going in depth a little more. But I also really love the Scooby-Doo Part 2. This is so beautiful. I love the color story. I love the packaging. I just hate this type of packaging because if you touch it wrong, it makes that noise and it's like nails on a chalkboard. This one I just had to have, but I haven't gotten very much use out of it. It is the Paint Pro, I'm pretty sure, but this palette is really beautiful. It's fun. It's kind of weird to store, if I'm being honest, but I still like having it. And then I have the Glamlite Cake Palette. You can't tell me that this isn't the cutest thing you've ever seen. That's one thing about Glamlite. They know how to sell you on the packaging alone. But this is really beautiful. And it is a gorgeous freaking rainbow palette. And I love it. This one makes me really happy. And I can't imagine ever getting rid of it. But you never know. And then I only kept two of the little Hershey's Kiss palettes. This is the Cookies and Cream. Again, with the blue monochromatic. And then this is the Lava Cake. Yeah. And it's a pink monochromatic. Really pretty. These ones I probably will declutter because I hate how they slide around and stuff. But that is all my Glamlite palettes, I'm pretty sure. Next, I have this palette from She Glam. This was a gift from a friend of mine. It is the Leo palette. The color story on this one is really, really pretty. I think the artwork on it is pretty as well. And then we have another brand I have a ton of palettes from, and that is ColourPop. I actually have 21 palettes from them, which is crazy. And I've actually decluttered a lot. What's on my eyes right now is the Pokemon palette. So actually, I do have 22, which is crazy. These two I haven't used yet. This one I've had before, and I really love it. It is the Just My Luck, but I got it in a mystery box, which made me super happy. I had another one that I got in the mystery box too, but I gave it away. And it looks like this. I love this so much. That center shade is freaking amazing. But I'm happy to have this one back in my collection. And this one's new to me. It is On Cloud Blue, which, you know, it's probably a blue monochromatic palette. I'm pretty sure it is. Yes. And she looks like this. It is so beautiful. And I actually have Blue Moon as well. And I bet these two would go really, really well together. I think that one's really pretty. Orange You Glad is another one of my absolute favorites. These ones are old. I've had them for a long time, but this color story is so beautiful. I've gotten a lot of compliments from that one, and I like mixing it with this one. It's actually the Honey. My label's just gone, but I've gotten a lot of compliments out of this one too. This is the only yellow monochromatic palette I have, but I've had a blast with it. And I really love the Wine and Only. It's so beautiful. I think this palette pairs really good with a lot of the other ones, like the yellow one, the orange one, and one I'll be showing you guys in just a minute. But this is the Mandalorian palette. It's really beautiful. I've actually never used this because it was gray. So now I need to give it a chance now that I've realized that I didn't like grays. And then I have the Child palette. This one is really pretty. I really like the looks that I created with this one. This one is a new one to me as well. It is the Sage the Day palette. This color story is so freaking gorgeous. I love this one too. And then this is one of my favorites. It is the In the Limelight. They really need to bring it back because I think it's so beautiful. And the only other one they had similar to this is the Tinkerbell palette, but I don't even know if they have that one anymore. And then I have two of these like game palettes or team palettes. This is the Golden State Warriors. It's really, really pretty. All of the ones I've talked about so far have the good formula. This one I have never even used. It is the Miami Heat, and it looks like that. My girlfriend surprised me one day with like a $250 ColourPop order, and it had all of these palettes in there. And to say I was excited is a freaking huge understatement. This is one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. It is the Raw Beauty Christie collab, the At Foresight palette. It's really beautiful. This one is out of stock, but if you were interested in this color story, I would check out the one from Lunar Beauty, the Moonshroom palette, because they got real similar vibes. And then I have the Night Before Christmas palette. This is another one that she picked up for me. I really enjoyed this one as well. And these two are some of my favorites. It is the Hocus Pocus palettes. This is the Witching Hour. This was my second favorite out of the two, but this one was really good as well. They bring them back sometimes, so just keep your eye out. Now, this is the second one or the third one, I believe, because there was another one that I didn't get, but this one is my favorite. It's so beautiful. Had a blast with that one. I also have the Beauty and the Beast collection, and I did a video on it, but I haven't posted it yet because the coloring kind of looks off in my video. I had on a blue shirt, and it threw off the color of my video and made it kind of orange. If you guys want to see my review of that collection, I'll post it anyway. Just let me know your thoughts. But I thought they did a really good job on this palette. It's really pretty. I love the yellow with the neutrals and the blues. I had a lot of fun creating the look with this. So let me know if you guys want to see it. And then we have the Lost in Love. I think this one is really beautiful as well. I had a lot of fun playing with this. I think it's a really pretty palette. The Rudolph I didn't care too much for. I think it's a little too like neutral for my blood. And then the last two, this was like a bundle that I got from ColourPop with a bunch of shades. I decluttered it last year, but I actually took it out of my declutter pile. I just couldn't see it go because I've been thinking about doing like build your own palette videos. But then we have the Fade into Hue. I don't recommend this one. The shadows in this are really powdery and they don't layer or anything. Like what you see is what you get. It's really hard to deepen anything up. I just don't think this is the same great quality as some of my other favorites from the brand. Okay, last shelf, and then we have the new palette bin. But first, I have the Unearthly Cosmetics and Emily Violet Marie collab. This is a dragon fruit palette that actually just sent me the new packaging, which I was really happy to get. But this palette is beautiful. It's a lot better now with the new packaging. And I know they also just re-released this along with a bunch of other stuff from that collection. And I highly recommend this if you're into all shimmer palettes. This is a palette that someone from my old job bought me. It's the Urban Decay Naked Heat, and it's not a me palette anymore, but at the time, I was so freaking excited. I could not believe that she bought me this palette. I literally cried, and I'll never let go of it because of that, but I was so freaking grateful. And then I have this Pat McGrath palette. I still haven't used it yet, guys. I made a video over a year ago. It was one of my first, and I was talking about how I hadn't used it. I still have not used it, so I cannot give you an opinion on that one. And then I have this little baby from Huda Beauty. It is the Wild Python. I love this color story so much. I think it's this color that sells it to me, but it's really beautiful. I have two palettes from Sigma, the Alice in Wonderland, which is really beautiful. This is the first palette I ever picked up from the brand. I love it so much. I love the brushes that come in these palettes too. And then Corta Rosa. Corta Rosa is my favorite. I bought this solely because of Samantha March. She raved about it, and for very good reason. This palette is really beautiful. I love the looks that I've created with it. I have three palettes. I thought I had more than that, but apparently I only have three palettes from ABH. The first one is the Jackie Aina. This is my favorite ABH palette. I think she really did a great job on this color story. I had a ton of fun with it. I really love the snakeskin packaging, the faux snakeskin, I probably should say. And then I have the Modern Renaissance. This is actually a new one. My girlfriend got it at walmart.com for 25 bucks. I was floored. It is from ABH. It's literally the same exact palette, and I haven't touched the new one. My old one is really raggedy, but she watched my Valentine's Day palette video and saw how raggedy the palette was and literally went and bought me this one. She's so freaking sweet. And then I have the Subculture, which I actually really like this one too. I like the color story. I think this has like the formula that they now have, not the one that created that freaking uproar with Beauty YouTube. That was crazy. And then I have this palette from Charmed. This is terrible quality. It's from that Sula look place too, but Charmed is one of my favorite shows of all time, so she's staying in my collection. This one was such a disappointment for me. This was my first time trying Melt Cosmetics, and I bought it because I freaking love Bailey Sarian, but I was so disappointed in this. I think the packaging on here is so beautiful. The color story is so freaking gorgeous. Mine came broke, which that I can deal with, but these oxidize so bad on me that they all look this color. Like, it's hard to even tell what's what. They just, I don't know if I got a bad palette or if it's just a bad palette, but I don't like it. And I've seen a lot of other people recommend it. And, you know, we all have different preferences, but I really don't understand it because that palette was so bad. Like, I couldn't even tell that the looks were different, even though I used completely different shades. They just were so poorly, like, oxidizing. It was terrible. And then I have the Man Eater After Dark palette. This one really surprised me. I had a lot of fun with this. I think it's really, really beautiful. I like the first color story more, the first one, but I really like the quality of this. If you're eyeing it, I say go for it. This is one of my favorite, like, neutral palettes when I want something real quick to run out the door, but it is the Tarte Sunrise palette, and it's just your basic neutral palette, but it's really great quality, and I got it in a BoxyCharm, and I'm happy that I did. This is one of the first palettes I bought that were more on the expensive side, but it is the Pure Raw Beauty Christie palette, and I've gotten so much use out of this. Look how dusty, but I've hit pan on a bunch of the shades, even in the neutral side, but look at my colorful side. Like, usually it was everyone using up the neutral side. but I like went to town on this colorful side. Every single shade in this palette has a very significant dip, but I think she did such a great job. Her artwork that she drew and put on here is so cute too. But lastly, for this stack is one that I really love so much. It is the Fantasy Cosmetica Wizard palette. I cannot wait to get more from this brand. At this moment, I only have 2 palettes from them, but I love this so much that I just want to buy everything that they come out with. I think it's so beautiful. The formula is freaking effortless, the mattes, but the shimmers are so freaking beautiful. And this holochrome is breathtaking. I truly cannot recommend it more. And now I am down to the last 9 palettes, all the new stuff that I've tried. And this one is what's on my eyes. It is the Pokemon palette from ColourPop. I really am enjoying playing with this so far. I think this look is really beautiful. I had a fun time creating it. The mattes were really good. This is a really good ColourPop formula, which makes me super happy. And this was my last video that I did, actually. It is the Endlessly Rain Cosmic Dreamer. I had so much fun. I actually just posted this video today, but I think this palette is so freaking gorgeous. I love the looks that I created, but I cannot wait to play with this one some more because, like I said, I really had a blast with that one. And another favorite, the Crow palette. This is by Wicked Widow. It was my first time trying the brand, and I have never in my life used a matte shadow that was easier to blend ever. The mattes in here are so incredibly easy to use. Like, you could probably start with this black in your crease and blend it out. I've never seen anything like it. And I have some really good favorites, but the matte formula here is one of the best. And this holochrome is so beautiful. But I love the color story. I think they knocked it out of the park with this collab. They did such a good job. I feel like the inside really represents the movie, which made me super happy. And then I have the Adept and Amy Loves palette. This is a collab with Amy Loves Makeup. This one is really beautiful as well. I think she did such a great job. The shimmers in here are so beautiful. And again, with another holochrome, they make me so happy. But I'm really enjoying this. Then I have these 3 little cute palettes from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the XYC. This is my favorite out of the 3. It's really beautiful. This is my second favorite. It's the OSL. I love how smoky this palette is. I was shocked at how much I love the look that I created with that one. And this is the AUH. This is not my favorite because I feel like it doesn't go deep enough, but it's still beautiful. And it's got a great formula. If you guys are into that, you might really enjoy it. And then saving one of the best for last, I have another palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. This is the Cradled in Ice palette. If you haven't seen this video, I highly recommend you check it out. I had so much fun freaking playing with it. I think they knocked it out of the park, which brings me to these. This is a little Cleona magnetic palette I have, but these in here are holochromes from this collection from Fantasy Cosmetica, and they are freaking beautiful. These are incredible, and I'm so happy to have them. I usually do not pick up singles or anything like that because I don't typically reach for them, but I saw they were holochromes and they were Fantasy Cosmetica. There's no way in hell I was passing on that one. And that is it. That was 152 palettes. I showed you guys all of my favorites, some of them not so much, but I love freaking eyeshadow palettes. They make me so happy. I love creating looks with them. I love seeing the color stories. It's like seeing art through someone else's eyes. It can give you inspiration when you see colors paired together in a different way or in a different layout within each palette. I think it's so fun. I love everything about buying and trying eyeshadow palettes, truly, with my whole heart. But if there are any palettes that you really love that you did not see in my collection, let me know down below. I would love to know what your favorites are. I love hearing from you guys. But if you watch this video all the way to the end, I thank you with my whole heart. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out, and I can't wait to hear from you down below. But until next time, bye.
We don't need